We are live. We have CNBC here. Unfortunately, we can only get sound because they don't allow you to share the screen, obviously, because otherwise people would rebroadcast them. Then we have the charts open. We have the Bitcoin chart, 76,000.
Populations are growing.
Okay, we just put this down
Economies.
for a while. 76,300. There we go. We've got a picture as well for CNBC, but only on the ads. Only on the ads. You'll see when they broadcast, they're gonna switch off the ads. We have the charts live. We have the Bitcoin chart live, 76,358. We have the S&P chart live. All-time high, 7,143 at the absolute top of the channel. Harish, you know what I'd love? I'd love to see my viewer numbers. Yeah. Oil at 87,030. I've got my news terminal live right here. My news terminal, I'll put the news terminal sounds on. And I'm going to be trading the news terminal the whole time. Remember, the news terminal feeds you the news as it comes out. And then you can trade directly from the terminal. So I'm going to have that live, waiting for Trump to go live on CNBC. It's an ad break now.
LNG allows for natural gas to be shipped across the world. TotalEnergies is the #1 exporter of US LNG.
Yeah. In the meantime, I saw this, which is actually quite good.
I'm
I think.
very excited about our reinvention story today,
now,
which is
we don't need to
literally
share my ads.
160 years
Let me
in
make
the
the
making.
ads a bit softer. I saw this today, and it got me really thinking, and I think we should talk about this later on in the show today. It basically says every single time in the past 2 years that Bitcoin has rallied, it's come on the back of ETFs buying billions, 𝗟𝗓 buying billions, and macro and TradFi headwinds, which is exactly pretty much what we have now. We've got 𝗟𝗓 buying. We've got ETFs buying like crazy, and I'm going to show you a bit later on in the show today. I'm going to show you how the 𝗟𝗓 is buying more than the ETFs. In fact, I can show that to you now. 𝗟𝗓 now owns more Bitcoin than BlackRock's ETF. 𝗟𝗓 owns 815,000 Bitcoin. That's excluding his personal stash, of course. And then 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏, which is the BlackRock ETF, owns 802,000. So there's a big thing. There's a big thing about the ratio of MicroStrategy to 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏, and we'll talk about that in a second. Because when the ratio goes up, in other words, when MicroStrategy buy quicker and own more than 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏, which is the BlackRock ETF, then what you know is that the market's a bullish market because people are going for leveraged Bitcoin against instead of going for the unleveraged Bitcoin. Let's go back to CNBC. Still, by the way, if you're with us, we are tuned in to watch Trump speaking live. We would love to see the viewer numbers on the screen. That just make my life a whole lot better. We're waiting for the ads. We're watching the markets at the same time. We have our news terminal open. We have everything open. I've muted the sound, and hopefully CNBC will give us a picture, but I don't know if they will. Let's have a look here. I don't know if they'll give us a picture because that they don't like distribution of their content. Okay, that's the sound. That's the sound coming up.
Share that compares to estimates of $17.
Nothing yet. Come on, CNBC. Come on, CNBC. You can do this.
86 cents. Shares of other insurers also rising on this news this morning. You can see CVS is up by about 3.25%. Humana up by 4.7%.
Okay, we're waiting for Trump to actually come on. Researchers, if you could let me know when Trump is coming on, that would be amazing. Then I can take the volume down. Researchers, you guys will watch. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you are listening to me and if you are listening to the CNBC stream, so that I can know that you guys are going to give me a thumbs up when Trump actually comes on. Researchers, anyone there? Let's have a look here. Hold on a second. Let's have a look here. In the meantime, I want to just talk about that ratio that I was speaking about earlier. I was speaking about the ratio of 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏 to MicroStrategy. And what you can see is that 𝗟𝗓 has been buying like a crazy person. It's the biggest, last week was the biggest buying week that he's had in a long time. $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin that he's bought. Why I got a little bit excited about this is, number one, because of this tweet over here, which says, if you do look at when Bitcoin's actually rallied, it actually has been. Last time it was the tariff ETF playbook, when Trump won, when the ETFs were launched. Basically, every single time we have this rally, it goes into it's driven by strategy, it's driven by the 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏 ETFs, etc., etc. What we can see now is that 𝗟𝗓 is buying like an absolute crazy person, and that the ratio that's pushed up the MicroStrategy price. Now, what you can see that the MicroStrategy price actually started going up quite aggressively, and the reason is that when he has raised money and when he goes above his cost base, and the price starts moving up, the MicroStrategy shareholders are the ones that benefit the most, because once the appreciation goes over 11%, which is what he pays in annual dividends, then the remainder accrues to the MicroStrategy shareholders in getting more Bitcoin per share, right? So someone says, love the sweater. Thanks, guys. And And now what we're seeing is that, as I mentioned to you, we had MicroStrategy buying so much that they now own more than the 𝗙𝗏𝗡 ETF. With that in mind, what you can see is that the ratio of MicroStrategy to 𝗙𝗏𝗡 has actually gone up. Now, what does that mean? It means that people are bullish on Bitcoin. It means that people want more leveraged Bitcoin than they want spot Bitcoin, specifically on Wall Street, in 𝗙𝗏𝗏. On Wall Street, in 𝗙𝗏𝗏, people want more leveraged Bitcoin than they want actual Bitcoin, right? So that's basically what that ratio shows you. And that's usually quite a bullish ratio. Now, I am bullish about this until we get to the top of this channel over here, because we need to break through this channel over here for me to remain bullish on Bitcoin. Right now, for me, this is very much a no man's land. Don't buy in this zone here, because the big probability is that we're going to touch this thing again and we're going to start coming back down to the bottom of this channel. What we're waiting for is the breakout. If we get the breakout, and again, if you look at the S&P 500, all-time highs, trading at the very top of this channel that it's been in for a good couple of years. Let's actually just look at the actual number of years here. So it's been in this channel for, since 2018. Since 2018, it's been in that channel. Right now, it is actually like on the verge. It's at the top of the channel, and Trump's going to be talking. I think he's going to be talking about the war. In fact, I'm sure he's going to be talking about the war, because that's what they're going to ask him. What you've probably noticed is that there's been a big shift in the tone and in the narrative around the war. The ceasefire expires tomorrow, so they've only got 24 hours to basically, or not, just over 24 hours to basically come to some kind of agreement. Otherwise, there's no more ceasefire. And when Trump was asked about extending the ceasefire, he was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to extend it. I'm not 100% sure, even though you kind of know that he is going to extend it. In the meantime, you can see that the narrative in Wall Street is changing. They're talking about a deal is coming. They're talking about a post-war scenario. Trump tweeted or posted on Truth Social, so he truthed. He said, the deal that we are making with Iran will be far better than the deal the 𝗕𝗟𝗋, commonly referred to as the Iran nuclear deal powered by Barack Hussein Obama and Sleepy Joe. One of the worst deals ever made in history. That's what he calls that deal. They actually gave $1.7 billion in green loaded cash. He's talking about the deal that he's actually doing, which means that he's not talking about we're going to knock you out, we're going to bomb you guys, we're going to take out your power plants. He's talking much more about peace, which is very, very, very encouraging, right? Also, as Mario says, he's looking for proof that Trump is done with this war. He's basically declared again that he's winning. He says, I'm winning the war by a lot. Things are going very well. Our military's been amazing. If you read the fake news, he's saying that the fake news, the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal are anti-Trump. And if you listen to what Carolyn said on Fox, she basically says
want the truth. They definitely should not pick up the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or watch CNN, right, especially these days.
Trump is coming here live. Trump is here and he's live. Let's quickly connect back to CNBC. Let's go back. CNBC, let's go. We are here. And Trump is coming on live. Let's go. All right, it's loading. Everybody is loading. And the sound's going to be on in a second. And we'll listen to Trump live.
Innocent, unarmed protesters, many of them hung. So we're not dealing with the nicest group of people, but we're dealing with them very successfully. And the blockade has been a tremendous success. They said 2 days ago, we will open the strait. I said, no, we're not going to open the strait until we have a final deal. No, we want to open the strait. They said, we're not opening.
Trump
we
speak
totally
in the
control
S&P chart on the 3 minutes.
Understand, for all the fake news out there.
And, Mr. President, we've seen 100 days of the largest protests in Iran since the revolution in 1979. And I know how much you respect and admire and are concerned with the Iranian people themselves. And this is, I think, in large degree, one of the reasons you decided to embark on this whole thing, maybe among other things, but the timing was right. If we get close in negotiations right now, but the deadline for the ceasefire is tomorrow, if it looks like things are progressing, will you not necessarily extend it to a definitive amount of time, but will you let it keep going if there's progress in the talks before taking...
Well, I don't want to do that. We don't have that much time, because by the time both parties get there, as you know, they just got the okay to go forward, which I knew they were going to do anyway. I mean, I don't think they had a choice. They have to negotiate. And, you know, the one thing I'll say is this: Iran can get themselves on a very good footing if they make a deal. They can make themselves into a strong nation again, a wonderful nation again. They have incredible people. But they seem to be, you know, bloodthirsty. They're led by some very, very unfortunately tough people. And I don't mean tough in a good way. I think it's very negative for the country because we're much tougher than they are, like not even close. But they have to use reason, and they have to use common sense, and they can get themselves into a great position to make themselves into a great country, but a legitimate country, not a country based on death and horror.
And I think regimes only respond to certain things, and I understand your threats to bomb the bridges in the electric grid, but I don't think the regime cares about the people of Iran. And if you did that, I'm sure it's the last thing you'd probably want to do, but it would hurt at least some of the people that we care about and why we embarked on this in the first place. So that would be, I'm sure, a last resort for you.
It's not my choice, but it will also hurt them. It'll hurt them militarily. They use the bridges for their weapons, for their missile movements. You know, they're trying to move the missiles because we've obliterated most of their missiles, and they're trying to move their missiles around, even during the ceasefire, which I think was a good thing because we're totally loaded up. We have so much ammo. We have so much of everything that we've, like, much more powerful than it was 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we've used this to restock, and they probably have done a little bit of restocking. We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it which wasn't very nice, a gift from China perhaps, I don't know. But I was a little surprised, but because I have a very good relationship, and I thought I had an understanding with President Xi, but that's all right. That's the way war goes, right? But I will tell you that we have, our military is incredible, what we've done. I mean, think of it. In the first 3 days, we took out their entire Navy, 159 ships. 159 ships, and wiped out their Air Force, wiped out their anti-aircraft, all of their anti-aircraft apparatus.
So far, nothing new.
Gone. All
Trump
of their
is
radar
talking about
gone.
the amount of time, which I think
their leaders are gone. You know, their leaders are gone. The whole thing is gone. And frankly, this should have been done a long time ago. It would have been a lot easier because they were a lot less lethal a long time ago.
So to be clear, you're saying that you need at least the prospects for a signed deal today and tomorrow, or else you would resume bombing Iran.
I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with. But you know, we're ready to go. I mean, the military is raring to go. They are absolutely incredible. You know, I built the military in my first term. I'm using it now. The military, when I took it over from Barack Hussein Obama, they had it was so depleted, so sad. And I built it in my first term. You remember those big numbers. You talked to me about it once. That's a lot of money for military. I built it. We did a great job with our military, and we're using it now and rebuilding it, too. We've done a lot of rebuilding also in my first year of the second term. But we have we have the most powerful military in the world, and everybody knows it.
Since we're kind of tight on time, can we just talk about what something else happening today, and that is your pick for Fed Chair Kevin Walsh on Capitol Hill. We've had a couple of guests today say the best thing that we need now is for Jay Powell to leave in May, like he's supposed to, and to have Kevin Walsh in as Fed Chair for that next June meeting. But we still have this Justice Department probe hanging over. And I've seen things that you said in recent interviews, Mr. President, and I want to ask you again, if it would be possible for the Banking Committee to completely investigate all of your concerns about the cost overruns and the testimony of Jay Powell in front of Congress, if you could take that off-ramp to get this moving, and Jay Powell leaves, Kevin Walsh goes in, is that something you'd consider dropping for the DOJ probe to let the Banking Committee handle it?
From the standpoint, Joe, from the standpoint that we have to find out why a small building costs close to $4 billion. It's not finished, by the way. They have a long way to go. They ripped down the most beautiful ceilings. They'll never build them again. The most beautiful, thick, 1.5 thick walls of solid masonry. They're never going to be built again. They put up 6-inch sheetrock walls, and they say, sir, we have no insulation. It's not in the budget. I mean, these walls, they had the best. That building was so beautiful. I would have fixed that building. I would have had it brand new, beautiful for $25 million, and they're going to spend close to $4 billion, maybe more than that. I don't know. It's not finished. In fact, I looked at it the other day. I'm afraid Kevin will have to have an office next to me in the White House because that building's not going to be done. He's not going to be able to use that building for a long time. And, you know, he had a complaint. He said, I didn't realize this. He said the saddest thing is they ripped down the best building. He said there was a building that had beautiful boardrooms that he used many times when he was there, that beautiful boardrooms and meeting rooms. It was so beautiful, the nicest in Washington. And he said they ripped it down. And maybe they did that to save money, like the Gavin Newsom the railroad, where they made it shorter in order to save money, but it's still 25 times over budget.
Literally a $500
but the worst
candle.
I've ever heard is the railroad in California, and I think this might be worse. Think of it. I would have fixed that building, beautiful, quickly. $25 million would have been like a brand new building. I would have, all the ceilings would have been left, all those beautiful thick walls with gorgeous moldings would have been left. You're going to get a sheetrock ceiling, a sheetrock wall without insulation. They said, sir, insulation's not in the budget. Insulation costs you $100 a room. The whole thing is crazy, and they're at $4. I think it's going to cost more than $4 billion when it's finished. But it would somehow but Joe, somehow we have to find out how this can happen. It's not the first time. How does this happen?
This is crazy.
The contractor make
$3.5
billion?
The renovation on the day when the new Fed chair is being sworn in. Not sworn in.
I can't imagine that Too Late is taking money on construction. I can't. But it's possible. But we have to find out, why is a job that should have cost $25 million costing billions and billions of dollars? You know, I built the hotel. It's now the Waldorf. I sold it to Waldorf, and it's now the Waldorf. I built it for $201 million. It's a bigger building than the Federal, and it was hotel rooms with bathrooms and, you know, partitions, and it's much more expensive to build a hotel room than it is a nice empty office space, right? And I built that for $201 million. This now is 8 years ago or so, but think of it. This building, you look at it, it's a little building. It's over, I think it's going to cost over $400 billion. And here's the thing. It's going to be nothing compared to what it was. They spent $4 billion, and it's nothing compared to what it was. It was beautiful. It had beautiful ceilings. They're all destroyed. They took them down. I don't know why.
If the DOJ, though, if this goes forward with Department of Justice and it delays him being confirmed, Kevin Walsh, it's kind of counterproductive for what you're trying to do in terms of changing the MO of the Fed up to this point. So I'm just trying to look for an off-ramp to get for you.
Well, it is and it isn't, Joe. You have to find out why a thing like that could happen, because if you have hundreds of projects like that, you know, very few are like this, but if you had hundreds of projects like that, you have to find out why that happens. I mean, because we obviously don't do it right, but, you know, we have some some great people in government that can do jobs. I build under budget, ahead of schedule. I'm doing a ballroom now. It's a much bigger job than that, and it's going to cost, depending on finishes, like $300 million.
Bitcoin was obviously expecting a bit more, and that's why Bitcoin's now down.
I have lawsuits every week from all these people, all the do-gooders that stop progress in our country.
But, I'm going to give Becky a chance, Mr. President, to get you to...
And you can have some extra time. I know my people said 20 minutes, but you can have some extra time.
Go Trump!
You can even put Andrew on the phone. You know, you told me Andrew would not be there. And I said, I don't care.
That was last week. That was last week.
You could even put Andrew on.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Joe made a comment to me. When he tried to get me on, he said, I promise I'll have Andrew Ross talking. He will not be there. And you can put him on. It's okay.
I didn't say I'd have him. I said he's not in last week, but then you canceled because you were on the West Coast.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll chime in a minute.
And that's
he's going to be so...
But I don't mind if he's there. I like him. I respect him. He's just wrong on a lot of issues.
Go Trump.
Mr. President, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about what you... Hi, sir. Let's talk a little bit about what you expect from your next Fed president. There had been a lot of expectations. You've been very clear about wanting lower rates.
I'm going to long
but
Bitcoin,
with the situation in Iran right now with higher oil prices, most people tell us that that's going to have to wait. The market itself is not anticipating lower rates or any rate cuts until at least the second half of this year. There's only a 41% chance or something of that, according to the market itself. Will you be disappointed if your new Fed chair, if he gets approved, doesn't cut rates right away?
I would. But let's talk about Iran first. Iran, I'm looking at your numbers now as I speak. I mean, the market's up. We're going to be at 50,000. That's where we were just a little while ago when it started. And when I hit 50,000 on the Dow and 7,000 on the S&P, I said, well, I hate to do this to everybody, but I'm going to have to journey down to a place called Iran and not make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon, because they will blow up the world. You want to see a bad stock market? Try blowing up the Middle East and then Europe, and then they come for us, right? And we're not going to let that happen. So I said to my people, they were all gathered, all these wonderful guys, Scott Bessent, the whole group, Howard, they're all doing a good job. I said, fellas, I got a little bad news for you. I'm going to put a little wrinkle in your numbers. Why, sir? We're going down to a place called Iran, and we're going to make sure that they never have a nuclear weapon, because they'll use it to blow up, because they're religious fanatics, and they will use that weapon to blow up the world, but they'll start with Israel in the Middle East, and we're not going to let that happen. And they said, wow, that's going to be bad. I said, yeah, it's going to hurt the market, and it's going to drive up the price of oil and whatever it is. But that's peanuts compared to what would happen if we let this happen. And I told them, 47 years other presidents wanted to do it. They never had the guts, the courage to do it. I said, we have to do it. And they understood that, very professional. They're great guys, great people. Jameson's doing such a great job, all of them. And so I said, we're going down, and we're going to do our little thing. And we did. And we've, knocked out. We've totally won the war. If you read the New York Times, you think, oh, gee, when are we surrendering? We have totally beat them militarily and otherwise. I mean, I wish you could hear the conversations we have with them. We are victorious. If we left right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild. And they can't get the nuclear dust because it was obliterated by the B-2 bombers that went in. They never got the credit they should get. They've tried to get down there. We have cameras from Space Force on it all the time. They've tried to get down. They can't get down. That place was obliterated. They did such a good job. The left tries to make it, tries to demean all the time, like, oh, well, maybe it wasn't totally obliterated. It was. And they can't get it, or they would have tried to get it. But the fact is that we took this little journey, and if you would have told me that the Dow is almost, I'm looking at your thing, I mean, literally we're at 50,000. And if you would have told me that oil is at 90 as opposed to 200, I would be frankly surprised. And you know what is happening? Boats are finding other sources. They're going up to Texas and Louisiana. They're going to Alaska. They're going to other places. It's an amazing phenomenon. When there are problems, people find out how to take care of things. And the Strait's very important, but people have found out. I mean, you're taking a look. Look at your numbers right now. I'm looking at where the stock market's up, where it's, look at that, S&P. The numbers are what they were when we started this whole thing. I thought they'd be down 20% or down a very substantial amount. Even when it was down more a couple of weeks ago, I was surprised. I thought it would be down much more, and I thought the oil would be much higher. And I'm very happy to say that it wasn't. And when it's over, and it will end, when it's over, they want it to be over immediately. And I just looked at a little chart. World War I, 4 years and 3 months. World War II, 6 years. Korean War, 3 years. Vietnam, 19 years. Iraq, 8 years. I'm 5 months. Okay?
Yeah, but this is not a world war.
I would have won Vietnam very quickly. I would have, if I were president, I would have won Iraq in the same amount of time that we won, because essentially we've won here. Okay? I mean, people can play games. The Democrats can say, well, we should have done better. No matter what. If I did it in 1 week, they'd say, we should have done better. Look at Venezuela. I took it over in 45 minutes. It was basically a 45-minute. And by the way, a very strong military country. And we took it over in a day, but let's be nice. But we basically took it over in 45 minutes. We took it over during the attack in 45 minutes.
But Mr. President,
and they would say, I'm surprised I haven't said it, that you should have done it in 30 minutes. It took too long. So it's tough. But we can't let traders. We can't let traders like Schumer put pressure on you where they say we want out. Think how bad that is. I'm negotiating with these people, and they're telling us we have to get out now. We have to get out now. We have to get now. And they were in a war for 18 years. They were in a war for. People. Think of that. Vietnam, 19 years. Iraq, 8
We're listening
years.
To Trump.
So.
Right.
I want to make a good deal. I'm not going to be rushed. I have all the time in the world. I want to make not a good deal. I want to make a great deal. I don't want to do this, go through this. And, if you look at this, what we've suffered in terms of losses, We lost 13 men, and that's
$3
terrible.
up on my
I wish we didn't lose one. But if somebody would have said, we've done this and obliterated that country, obliterated it, and we lost 13 men, people would have said, that's not possible to have done that. It's not possible.
Right.
So we've done a great job, and I don't want to be rushed by people that are really treasonous as far as I'm concerned. And it's just, I watch this low IQ guy, Hakeem Jeffries. He's a totally low IQ person, and he's always ranting and raving, oh, this war is so terrible, terrible. They shouldn't be saying that when we're in the midst of a negotiation, because it does hurt us somewhat. It gives the other side some hope, and I don't want them to have hope.
Mr. President, I wanted to ask you about Anthropic, if I could, for a second, because this is a company that your administration has declared a supply chain risk.
Anthropic.
And I want to understand the determination for that. There's a view by some that it's political, but more importantly, at the same time that this is happening, reportedly, the NSA and other parts of the government are using Claude, which, of course, is the large language model of Anthropic, and how you square that.
Well, Anthropic is a group of very smart people, but they started telling our military how to operate, and we didn't want that. And they tend to be on the left, radical left, but we get along with them. In fact, they came to the office. They came to the White House a few days ago, and we had some very good talks with them, and I think they're shaping up. They're very smart, and I think they can be of great use. I like smart people. I like high IQ people, and they definitely have high IQs, It's one of those things, and I think we'll get along with them just
Gotta
fine.
love this president, man.
So do you think a deal will be made so that Anthropic will be allowed to be used inside the Defense Department in the future?
We want the smartest people. Now, in the meantime, we replaced Anthropic with somebody else. You know who they are, and they're very, very smart people.
I bet you Trump doesn't know who they replaced.
Very smart group. We have a lot of smart groups. We have some brilliant people. We have the most brilliant people in the world. President Xi told me that. He said Silicon Valley, he called it Silicon Valley. During a conversation, I have a great relationship with him. He said, you have the smartest people in the world. And we do. You take a look at what's happening with Jensen and all of these people. And it's a great honor to be working. I think Tim Cook, I see he's retiring. I wrote a piece about him today. And I got to know him very well. He's a fantastic person, did an unbelievable job. And I say it respectfully, but if Steve Jobs had lived and ran the company, it might have done good, but it wouldn't have done, I think, nearly as good as the job Tim has done. And I got to work with Tim, so I really know it. I know what I'm talking about. He's a very unusual guy. He gets things done.
I agree.
Mr. President, we did read your entire Truth Social post. I just want to return for 1 second and make an analogy here. You saw what inflation did to the Biden legacy and administration. So 22% price increases. By the time he was leaving, it was down to about where it is now, about 3%. But not a single.
It was down to 5%. It wasn't down.
Well,
to 5%.
or 3, but not a single
person. And the reason
person.
It was down was because I had won the election, and it started falling after I won the election, and I started getting prices down from right after November 5th.
If you needed to prevent that from happening, let's say Chair Walsh thought, for whatever reason, there's some type of energy shock, who knows, with the blockade. Let's say that things got too hot. At that point, just to make sure there was no inflation, would you allow him to raise rates or not cut rates? Would there ever be a period where you could see that was something that a Fed chair needed to do? And if you said he might have an office right near yours, he might not want an office right next to yours, sir. I don't know. After what happened to Jay Powell, you might want to be across in those new digs, maybe.
Maybe I'd like him next to me. Actually, it's not a bad idea. Maybe Jay Powell did us a big service, and I call him too late. He's just too late. He's always too late, except when it came to before the election, but that didn't quite work out well for him. So the answer is I want Kevin. I think Kevin's great. He's central casting in a true sense. Okay, I think he's going to do a great job. Yeah, if there's time for, I've been in favor of interest rate rises to stop inflation. I think it sort of is effective. But there's one thing, and nobody ever talks about it but me, unfortunately. So I'm sure it's not correct, but I think it is. We should have the lowest interest rate in the world. When I was a young guy growing up, we always had the lowest interest rate worldwide. We always did. And then 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It started where Switzerland and other people had lower rates than us. And I just had a thing with, if you take a look at some of the, let's call them like elite countries. They're only elite because we allow them to walk away with $30 billion and $40 billion a year, but I don't do that so much anymore. I sort of put a clamp on that with the tariffs and charges that we charge them, because they were elite because they're making billions and billions of dollars from the United States, larger, and other reasons. And they run a good operation, but it's easier to run it good when you make that much money, where we have these massive deficits with, you take a look at some of the countries, but Switzerland is one. They talk, oh yes, we are a small and brilliant. Well, they're brilliant because they pay us almost nothing. Now they pay a little bit. They should pay much more. We'll get that up a little bit. But if you take a look at Denmark, you take a look at all these countries, you think of them so good. They pay such a low interest rate. Well, if we charge them, and what happened with me is I charged some of them, and they squawked like you wouldn't believe it. They called, and we are a small country. All of a sudden I realized they're not elite. We're elite. We're being sucked dry. And we can't do that. And you'll see that. We had a little setback with the Supreme Court. They said I can charge tariffs, but I have to do it a different way. And because of what they did, we have to pay back $160 billion. All they had to do is add one sentence, just one sentence. And that's, you don't have to pay anything taken in thus far back. But because they didn't add, and by the way, it was a close call, too. There were justices that were powerful that I was right on the tariffs. But because we lost by just 2 votes, just little vote, 2 votes, we have to pay back $165 billion. They could have, with a little one sentence, you don't have to pay back tariffs that have already been received. You start from this point, and you do it a different way. So we're doing it a different way. We're going to end up with the same. Actually, we'll end up with bigger numbers, actually, but it's a little more unwieldy, but it's the way it's been done. But it's so sad
Mr. President,
that the Supreme Court didn't want to save our country with one sentence, $165 billion. And we're giving a lot of that money back to people that hate our country. So I'm not happy with the Supreme Court, I'll be honest with you, okay?
Mr. President, on that topic, there's a whole number of very large companies, including Apple and Amazon and others, that have not sought reimbursements yet for the tariffs. They haven't tried to collect refunds.
All of this is coming up on the news.
And from what I understand, part of the reason that they have waited is because there is a worry about, frankly, offending you. Would you find it offensive for them to try to collect a refund?
I think it's brilliant if they don't do that. I actually think if they don't do that, they got to know me very well. I'm very honored by what you just said. If they don't do that, I'll remember them. I will tell you that, because I'm looking to make this country strong. Supreme Court could have helped us. Now they have birthright citizenship. They'll probably rule against us. No country in the world has it. It's horrible for our country. And I just see it, I see some of these Republicans that are nominated by me asking real bad questions, and looks like maybe we're going to lose that one too. Look what happened with NIL.
In this case, I can long Trump, I can long Bitcoin directly from the news terminal.
The court system destroyed.
Watch out quickly.
So hard to put that one back, Humpty Dumpty. So hard to put that one back together. We had 150 years of rulings and everything else, and they had such a great system. It was a scholarship system. You get free college if you're a good athlete. You get this, you get that. And it took care of every sport. Fencing, and not only football. Now it's all football, and the football is bringing down colleges because they're losing. Did you see Penn State lost $500 million last year? Yeah, Florida State lost $450 million last year. They can't lose that kind of money. They don't make that kind of money. And the court system.
You can even go long Apple here.
A person that never had anything to do with sports, a very liberal-leaning Democrat, liberal, she decided that the sports system that was in place for 150 years is no good. She never went to a game before. It's no good. And she said it's unconstitutional. And unfortunately, NCAA didn't even appeal it. I've won a lot of cases on appeal, to be honest with you. We got some really bad judges. But I've won a lot of cases on appeal. Some great people.
We got some really bad judges.
Fortunately, some great people in the appellate courts. And I've won cases. They didn't appeal it. And because of that, college sports is is a disaster right now. You have many people staying in college because they're going to make more money than they would if they went into baseball, Major League Baseball, or the NFL. They can make more money, you know, a 7-year freshman. We have a 7-year freshman. It's crazy what they've done. And this is a person that never went to a game, acknowledged, not familiar with sports, but she overruled everything. She said, it's all unconstitutional, start all over again. And thank goodness we have people like Randy Levine and others at Coach Saban, who's so great. We have a lot of people got together, but it's very hard to put that one together, I will tell you right now. It's a tough one, but they're going to do the best. But if the courts had common sense, they would have done something that could have been very easy to do and made everybody happy. If they had common sense, we would not be paying back almost $200 billion in tariffs.
Notice he had 20 minutes of CNBC. He's been on for like 30 minutes.
The enemy is getting this money. The people that have hated the United States, we're giving them checks for billions of dollars. It's so sad to see. And it would be nice if the court system and the Supreme Court could have done things a little bit differently. Very sad. Actually, it's very sad. It's called no common sense. And look at the rulings we're getting on illegal immigrants. I mean, they're coming in murderers and everything else. We have a many-time murderer. It's really hard to get him out of our country. But we don't stop.
All right,
Mr. President, just in terms of putting things together, there's a story earlier this week about United potentially wanting to buy American. Senators from both sides of the aisle have warned that that is a step too far. You should not be putting these two large airlines together. Have you thought about that proposition?
I just heard it 2 days ago, and I know them both very well. I don't like it. No, I don't mind mergers. I think I'd love somebody to buy Spirit, as an example. You know, Spirit's in trouble. And I'd love somebody to buy Spirit. It's 14,000 jobs. And maybe the federal government should help that one out. You know, I told my people. But with American, it's doing fine. And United's doing very well. I know the United people, they're doing very well. I don't like having them merge. It's just like all of these aerospace defense companies and aerospace companies. We used to have hundreds of them, and now we have like a very small number. And you get one bid, and it makes them lazy. And I came down very hard on them 2-3 months ago because it takes too long. We have the best equipment in the world. We have the best, you know, the Patriot systems, the Tomahawk systems. We have the best stuff in the world by far. You know, the other day during this crazy war, we had 111. There's a dispute as to 111 and 101. I want to be exactly accurate with you people because otherwise you'll write stories that I exaggerated. We had 101 or 111. Nobody's able to get it right, but the result was the same. Missile shot at one of our great assets out in that area, a ship. And out of the 111 missile shot, every single one of them was shot down, going at 3,000 miles an hour, right? You know, not easy. It's like a needle in a haystack. They used to call it impossible to do. So they go to 3,000 miles an hour. Every single one of them was shot down, mostly by Patriots, but every one of them was shot down. Think of it, 111 missiles coming at you, and every one of those missiles is now lying at the bottom of the sea, like the Navy, like the Iran's Navy is lying at the bottom of the sea. It's amazing.
All right, enough. I think
we got to make it faster. Trump. So I have a push. You know, Raytheon took billions of dollars, many billions. I don't even want to tell you how many because I'm embarrassed, for stock buybacks instead of buying plants. So I made it illegal for them to do that. No defense company. They have to build new plants. So we have plants. Raytheon now is building 5. They're all building. Lockheed's building 3 or 4. They're all building plants because we need speed. We don't want, you know, you order a Patriot and they say, we'll have it to you, sir, in 3.5 years. We want it in a week. And that's where we are now. They're building plants all over the country. And they're going to do well for doing it.
We appreciate all your time. If you have time, I want to ask you one more question.
Go ahead.
And you know, we have allies now in the Middle East. Maybe some are.
Smile more, bro.
We can maybe count on more than allies in other parts of the world.
That's true. They're much better allies than NATO. Yeah. That I can tell you.
The UAE asking the U.S. for some type of financial lifeline. I don't know if it's
they ran out of dollars,
solvency problem. It's more of a liquidity problem. And I know we did, Secretary Bessent did something with Argentina that worked out. Is there some type of swap possible to currency swap with the UAE to help if they need it? And do you think there would be backlash because it's such a or perceived to be such a wealthy country? Is that under consideration?
It is, but it's been a good country. It's been a good ally of ours. And, you know, these are unusual times. They were, more than anybody else, I mean, it was shocking because we thought that they'd shoot missiles at Israel, but not every other country in the area. And, you know, UAE
Trump's admitting that he got blindsided here by the...
Now, fortunately, they had the Patriots, and they had a great defense, and they were able to shoot down most of them. But they did get hit hard. They were hit the hardest of the group, actually. And they're really led by incredible people. And, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised because they are really rich. You know, they invested a year ago. I went there, and I got them to invest $1 trillion in the United States. They're building a tremendous plant in a great state called Oklahoma, aluminum plant, smelting plant, beautiful, incredible, it'll be the best anywhere in the world. You know, they're very good for this country. So, yeah, if I could help them, I would. I mean, we're helping them much more with what we're doing with the war because, you know, the bully of the Middle East was Iran. Iran was a bully and bullied all of these countries around, and they threatened them all the time, and they threatened about the Hormuz Strait. They threatened, sometimes some people call it the Strait of Hormuz, which is actually a more beautiful wording. But they threatened them all the time. So we're really doing a big job there. Those 5 countries have been great, and Israel's been great. Israel's been a great
Someone told me it should be
partner
called
for us.
the
they say
Strait of Hormuz.
We're the big brother, they're the small brother.
Because it's open and closed, but open and closed.
Been very helpful to us. You know, they displayed great courage. If UAE had a problem, I find it hard to believe, but if they had a problem, we would be there for them. Yeah,
are the Saudis impatient now, or do they want? Are they on the other side? Were they?
Well, he's another great guy. You know, he gave me the famous line that I use a little bit. He said, "A year and a half ago, sir, you were a dead country. Now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world." He said that to me, and it's true. We were a dead country. We had a guy that wasn't respected. We had a country that was laughed at. He couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Forget about down. He couldn't walk up a flight. But he was falling all over the place. I have to be careful because if I do trip or fall, it's got to be the biggest. That's why when I get out of those planes, I walk nice and slowly. I'm not looking to set any speed records. But we had an embarrassing country. We had a country that was going to fail. If this country would have failed if I didn't win this election, I'll tell you, I've had many people tell me that. Many people that aren't necessarily of the Republican
he is rambling
now.
You got to give. Like, he's just going on and on.
We've had many people say it that this country would have failed if I didn't win this election. You people wouldn't be looking at the numbers you're looking at right now.
So
I can tell
the
you
Saudis are not. Are they taking it economically on the chin to the point where they want you to end this, or are they saying finish the job?
I think they're doing great. I spoke to him yesterday. He wasn't asking for anything. He wants to. They're fighting. You know, they're helping us. They're helping us on the Strait. They're helping us all over. The ones that aren't helping are NATO. You know, NATO said to me, "No, we'll send somebody as soon as it's over."
I mean, surely at some point they've got to cut him off here.
Really, you know, we don't need them. We'll never need them. Actually, they'll need us. They need us desperately because they're a paper tiger. But I've said that. By the way, I've said that for a long time. Before I was in politics, I used to say it. I was not in politics, but I sort of enjoyed it, and I liked watching things. So I always said they were a paper tiger. And
well,
Europe, Europe has to straighten themselves out. Between energy and immigration, they have to straighten themselves out, or they're not going to have a Europe anymore.
Yeah, we could talk NATO, but I know you've obviously got a lot to do. We will be watching for any Truth Social posts about the negotiations, whether you hear what's happening. But thanks for all your time this morning, Mr. President. We greatly appreciate
that's Trump.
it.
That's Trump on CNBC. One thing that you probably took away from that is, you know, he said we're running out of time here to make a deal. I think one, he's referring to the ceasefire, which they spoke about, which is around tomorrow, Wednesday night. But also, I don't know if you guys know this. So I read this. It says Trump has a 60-day clock that may stop Iran's war, and he can't really ignore it. Now, here's what it basically says. It says, the Democrats have basically raised, under the War Powers Resolution, also called the War Powers Act, an American president who has activated the armed forces without congressional approval, which is what Trump did here, has 60 days to stand down. A 30-day extension may be granted. However, only if the president offers Congress a written guarantee that the extra time is to ensure the safe withdrawal of U.S. troops and not to continue fighting. And that's also why Trump may be under a bit of a deadline to actually end this war. As I said to you, the tone is a little bit more friendly now. He's not talking about a deal. He's not talking about bombing people. He's talking about more about a deal, doing a better deal than Barack Obama, doing a better deal than Sleepy Joe Biden. So things looking good here. Just some other news as it relates to crypto. So you saw I was trading this on the news terminal. You saw how it all works. Every time Trump said something, every time a news source reported something, it came here in the matter of milliseconds. You can see the number of milliseconds here in the corner. And then I could trade directly from the news terminal, right? So let's say that news came out around Trump coin. Okay, let's just say it was. And I wanted to go long. Bang. I'm long. And if I want to go short, it's much more fun with the sound. Let's put the sound back in here. And then if I want to go short, if I want to close the trade, I can just close it from the news terminal here, right? So if you want to try the news terminal for free, if you go to it's literally for free. Just go to the bottom of this YouTube. Go to this link over here. If you want to try the news terminal for free, if you go to it's literally for free. Just go to the bottom of this YouTube, but you look good. You look good. Okay. There is a free link over here. 247. Just click that link. You get it for free, and literally it gives you the advantage, and you can trade the headlines in seconds. And this is a headline trading market. So just use this link. You get it for free every time a news source comes out. It comes out here, and you can trade directly from the terminal. You saw I took a Bitcoin long directly from the terminal. I'm going to leave it open. I'm not going to close it. I'm going to leave it open as part of our trading competition. I did say to you, it is looking quite bullish that the MSTR to IBIT ratio is going up. It means people want more leveraged Bitcoin versus unleveraged Bitcoin, which is a good thing. Kevin Walsh, he goes into the Senate Banking Committee for the confirmation hearing today. Very interested to see what he'll say. Watch the markets. Watch the news terminal when Kevin Walsh starts talking today, because everything he talks about interest rates, his policy will all be on the news terminal over here. And the Clarity Act again seems to be stalling. They want to now only bring it in May, and I think we are running out of time. Senator Tillis told Senate Banking Committee Chair Tim Scott the panel should not plan to advance a major crypto bill in April. Negotiators need more time to finalize a bank crypto compromise on stablecoin yield. So they're taking this down to the wire, because if they don't do this by the time they go away on summer vacation, we can say bye-bye Clarity Act. And on that note, I shall say, well, I won't say bye-bye to you. I'll remind you that if you want, there is a link to the news terminal for free. I'll also remind you that CoinW offer, for those of you who want an exchange that doesn't need KYC, we have an offer here that if you deposit $300, you get an extra $60. If you deposit $500, you get an extra $100. So the more you deposit, the more you get. Best thing is that, Chento, don't tell anyone this, right? But you can deposit the amount, you can trade the rewards bonus, and then you can just withdraw your amount. And that's how you get free trading. So Chento, how do you do free trading? You see, you open an account. But don't tell anyone, bro. Do not tell anybody. You open an account. You put $10,000.
I won't do it myself either.
You put $10,000 in the account. You get a free $1,500. You trade using the $1,500, and then you withdraw the $10,000, and that's how you trade for free.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't hedge that. So open up 750 long, 750 short.
Exactly. So guys, you got it. I will see you guys again tomorrow, and we'll see Chento tomorrow as well. Until then, trade well, my friends.